Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm, and as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in and making GPS a part of your afternoon routine. So today is Wednesday, and every Wednesday we look at something pertaining to your health and wellness. So we call this Wellness Wednesdays here on GPS. And today is no different. Today we're going to be looking at a very important issue that affects many, many Bahamians and people around the world. And that is hypertension, because today is World Hypertension Day. And I thought it would be fitting to look at this issue on this particular day. So before we dive in, let's throw out the information as to how you can become a part of the show. Streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM Facebook pages, as well as our YouTube channels. You can call in at 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0272, 326-0272, the WhatsApp line for messages and calls today, 801-0271, 801-0271. And of course, we are on Cable Bahamas, channel 974, and on radio here in New Providence on Global 99.5 FM on your dial. So hypertension is going to be center stage on today's Wellness Wednesday show. As I would have said, today, May 17, is World Hypertension Day. In observance of World Hypertension Day, which is commemorated every May 17th, the Pan American Health Organization, through the Hearts in the Americas initiative, invites you to consider the implications of hypertension on your health during this day. And so this is something that we all need to pay attention to, because clearly here in the Bahamas, oh my God, we have a major problem here in the Bahamas. Major problem here in the Bahamas when it comes to hypertension. In other words, high blood pressure. Or like we like to see in the Bahamas, you got pressure. Well, unfortunately, this is far too big of a problem for us to continue to ignore. And so we're going to be talking about that today. And, you know, this isn't just a problem here in the Bahamas, but millions of people around the world are battling high blood pressure. And many of them do not know what to do to deal with it. So a lot of people are relying on medications that aren't necessarily getting the job done in terms of healing them. It's managing their illness, but not healing them of the ailment that they face. And then a lot of people are suffering from high blood pressure and don't even know it. That is the danger. This is one of the reasons why it's called the silent killer. Because you could be walking around dealing with hypertension and not be aware of it. And then all of a sudden, you end up having some kind of major catastrophic health incident, a stroke or a heart attack, or it could destroy your kidneys. So many things that can be affected by high blood pressure if it goes unchecked. But again, a lot of people are walking around don't even know they have a problem with their pressure. So this is important for us to consider. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death in the Americas, and high blood pressure accounts for over 50% of cardiovascular disease. And I said in the Americas, not in America. Within the Americas. Over a quarter of adult women and 4 in 10 adult men have hypertension. And the diagnosis, treatment, and control are suboptimal. Only a few countries exhibit a population hypertension control rate of over 50%, remarkably. So to address this critical problem, the Pan American Health Organization is bringing attention to this challenge on this World Hypertension Day, because we have to find ways to reduce the risk of hypertension that so many people are challenged with. To tell you the truth, hypertension is something that really should be of national concern because, let's face it, it impacts productivity in a country. It impacts family life. Many people would have lost loved ones, fathers, mothers, siblings, etc., due to hypertension or its related challenges. So this is something that really affects the entire community. Whether you yourself have hypertension or not, chances are you know someone that does. And so this is something I thought, particularly on today, when the world is observing World Hypertension Day, that we would look at this problem here in the Bahamas. As always, my goal on Wellness Wednesdays is to not only bring attention to the problem, but to look at possible solutions to that problem. Okay? So there may be some things said on the show today that go against what we have been generally told over these many, many years about hypertension. And you may say, Michelle, Mom, why are you always coming, out of left field with these things? Well, my response to that is, they say insanity is you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. I think there's more than enough evidence to show that what we have been doing for decades as it relates to hypertension is not working. It may be managing a disease, and I come across many clients who would have told me, oh, I've been on hypertension medication for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. I had a client who was on for 40 years. 40 years. So clearly, the medication was not healing him of the disease. It was just managing his disease. Because if you got to take something for 40 years, I don't call that healing. I call that management. So My thing is always, if that approach was so efficient, why isn't it working? And I'm going to bring you some information today. And let me just say for the record that even though you may hear some stuff on the show that may go contrary to what we have been taught, generally speaking, I am not advising anybody. Let me put this on the record now. I'm not advising anybody to stop taking your hypertension medication because of what you're going to learn on the show today. No. I will say that once you implement some of the things we're going to be talking about on the show today, particularly from a nutritional standpoint, your body will respond and your body will start to regulate your pressure normally. Even at that point, we do not advise people to just take yourself off your medication. We do not do that. Go to your doctor. Let your doctor be the one to wean you off of that medication if necessary. And when I say if necessary, when your body starts functioning, you're going to need less and less of the medication. Let your doctor be the one to determine that and take you off of that eventually. If you choose to go quit cold turkey, that ain't on me. I'm actually advising you against that, as I do with all of my clients. Some of them listen, some of them don't. But I'm putting it out there at the beginning because you know how people could be a little special and y'all let's hear what y'all want here. And the next thing you know, somebody go quitting their medication, and when they have an event, they say, "Well, Michelle Malcolm say, don't call my name," because I'm telling y'all right now, at the jump, let your doctor be the one to monitor how much of that medication you need to be on. Okay, I think it's very important to say that at the very outset. So let's begin this show today by discussing what is high blood pressure. And all of the clips that you're going to hear from today are with one of my favorites, Dr. Eric Berg. Now, I found several different videos with him talking about high blood pressure from several different angles. So these aren't all from one video, but all of them will be featuring Dr. Eric Berg. So here is Dr. Berg now describing what is high blood pressure.
So blood pressure, what is blood pressure? Well, first of all, if you're measuring two things, you're measuring the heart's ability to contract and the heart's ability to relax. So the contraction pressure, it's called the systolic, should be 120 amount of pressure. And 80 is the diastolic, that's the bottom number, and that's the ability of the heart to relax. So if this is high, then the heart is it's like a muscle, it's contracting, but it's not letting down and turning off enough. If this is too high, we get too much contraction. This is controlled by the sympathetic part of the nervous system, and this is controlled by the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so that's what this is. And when you have an adrenal problem, you'll start to get a problem with the systolic going too high before the diastolic. So make note of that, because that's another thing that you should know about when you do your evaluation. Now, pulse rate. The pulse rate is the number of times the heart will beat in a course of a minute. Normal, it should be 72. The more fit the person is, it should go down to 60, 50, maybe even 40, okay? But if the person is not exercising and they're kind of overweight or whatever, and it's low, that means it's a weak heart. If it's high, too high, they're losing the parasympathetic control and they're not able to push it down. And so that's that on that HRV graph, that's the small dial that going to the left, it's weaker. So if you look at the HRV graph, if the small dial, which should be here, you're going to see it go right here. As they lose that parasympathetic, the pulse rate will go higher and higher, higher, because it can't push the thing down. Now, the other problem that can cause a high pulse rate would be potassium deficiency. And why would they get a potassium deficiency? Not just because they're not eating enough potassium from the food, because they have to have 7 cups, but they're eating a lot of sugar. Sugar depletes potassium. Refined carbohydrates will deplete potassium. Cheesecake might deplete some potassium if there's sugar in it. And then the pulse rate goes higher and higher and higher, and the person's going to hear a little beat, boom, 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 in their ear. So they need to add more greens and then avocado, whatever, and then we have to avoid the sugar. So that's what I want to talk about with blood pressure.
So you will notice, if you've been listening to our Wellness Wednesday shows for quite a while, that oftentimes you hear stuff repeated. And that's because, as I keep telling you guys, your body is like this interconnected system. One domino affects the other, affects the other, affects the other. So your high blood pressure issues aren't just an isolated problem. You don't just wake up today and all of a sudden you have high blood pressure just out of nowhere. There are other things that contribute to you developing this condition. You just heard him talk about the relationship between blood sugar. Who knew? But all of this is interconnected. And my goal today is to get you to understand how it's all interconnected. What are some of the things that you are doing, could be innocently, that are contributing to the problem, that you're not even making the connection between the two just because you don't know? And more importantly, once you get an understanding of how the blood pressure works, how high blood pressure is developed, once you get an understanding of the numbers that your doctor is going to tell you your pressure is at, once you get an understanding that you've got your primary or essential hypertension and your secondary hypertension, we're going to be looking at this from multiple angles, because I want you really to get a comprehensive understanding of how this works. And then we're going to talk about what you can do to fix it, not to manage it, to fix it once and for all. And don't believe for 1 second that it is not fixable. I tell you all the time, believe the diagnosis. When you go to the doctor and they measure and they tell you your pressure is, a bit high, don't walk up to the doctor's office and say, this doctor trying to put pressure on me. Doctor ain't trying to put nothing on you. That done deal. And you cannot fix what you do not acknowledge. So believe the diagnosis. These doctors ain't got no reason to lie to you and tell you your pressure is high if it ain't high. So believe that. But do not believe the prognosis. Don't believe that there's nothing that you can do. Don't believe that you have to be stuck to taking this medication for 40 years. Don't believe that. Believe the diagnosis. But have an open mind when it comes to the prognosis. Because I dare say that if you are willing to consider other options when it comes to the prognosis, then you have a better chance of being rid of this problem once and for all. And you can be rid of it. So I want you to remember that as we go through this show today. And again, you can hear some things that, you ain't never heard before. But it is what it is. If what you were doing was working so well, why are you still in the condition you're in? Maybe, just maybe, it's time for you to consider other options. We're going to take a break. And on the other side of the break, we're going to talk about understanding high blood pressure, understanding your numbers, and understanding the difference between primary or essential hypertension and secondary hypertension. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rim fix and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, all-terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company on this Wellness Wednesday. We're talking hypertension, high blood pressure on this World Hypertension Day. The numbers to call, 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line for calls and messages is 8010271, 8010271. And you can watch us on Cable Bahamas Channel 974 and listen to us on the radio dial, Global 99.5 FM here in New Providence. Also check us out on YouTube. Make sure you like and share the show, people. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, let everybody know that GPS is on the air. We're talking about hypertension. And this is obviously something that is important to our nation as a whole because we have far too much hypertension. Our people are just sick across the board dealing with this issue, and we need to deal with it. I always believe that the best approach, wherever possible, is the holistic approach. So we're going to get to all of that today. So Your doctor tells you that you have hypertension. He gives you these numbers, and you're trying to figure out, what that mean? You don't have a full understanding of the condition. You don't have an understanding of the numbers that he's telling you. Well, these next two clips that we're going to play, first up, about understanding high blood pressure, will help to give you, a better idea of understanding what it is that your doctor is telling you. Because in order for you to participate, I believe, in the healing process, it helps if you understand what is happening within your body, as opposed to just saying, "Yeah, take this." I think you would be more inclined to want to be a part of your healing process if you have a better understanding of the condition that you're dealing with. So here again is Dr. Berg, and in this clip, he's going to be, we're gaining a better understanding of hypertension.
90% of blood pressure is called essential hypertension, and they don't even know what causes it after all of this research. Today, I'm going to unravel blood pressure and give you some natural solutions that may have a lot less side effects than medication. Of course, check with your doctor before implementing any of these solutions. So you have about 100,000 miles of blood vessels in your body. Well, that is a lot of blood vessels, and these blood vessels do go to many locations in your body, many organs. In fact, all of your organs receive blood from your vascular system. And so the problems with blood pressure extend way beyond just the vascular system, way beyond just your heart. It can affect the brain, it can affect your eye, it can affect the kidney, increasing your risk of getting heart attacks. And it definitely increases your risk of getting a stroke by a factor of 3x. And blood pressure problems are very common. If you're over 60, you have a 50% chance of getting hypertension. To me, that is just way, way too high. Now, hypertension can also be compensating for various things. For example, if you have hypoxia, let's say in your lungs, you have COPD, you have a lung problem where you don't have enough oxygen, the body's going to automatically sense that and start increasing blood pressure to get more blood in the area, to get more oxygen, low oxygen situation in another place. So when someone then takes medication to lower the blood pressure, what happens to the lungs, right? It already is not getting enough oxygen. Now it's really not going to get enough oxygen. So this is one reason why people don't really feel good many times when they get on blood pressure medication, especially in the brain, because it creates other issues.
Okay, so that gives you a brief overview of, gives you a little better understanding of hypertension. And we're going to go a little deeper, so don't think that that's the end of it. But high blood pressure or hypertension is blood pressure that is higher than normal, and your blood pressure changes throughout the day based on your activities. So having blood pressure measures consistently above normal may result in a diagnosis of high blood pressure or what is called hypertension. The higher your blood pressure levels, the more risk you have for other health problems such as heart disease, heart attack, stroke. And it is important that you receive the proper diagnosis so that treatment decisions can be made to review your systolic and diastolic blood pressure levels and comparing them to levels found in certain guidelines. So in other words, it's important that you do see a professional doctor so that you can monitor or gain access to tools to help you monitor your blood pressure at home if you are prone to have issues with blood pressure, high blood pressure. The guidelines used to diagnose high blood pressure may differ from healthcare professional to healthcare professional. Some healthcare professionals diagnose patients with high blood pressure if their blood pressure is consistently, excuse me, 140/90 or higher. And this limit is based on a guideline released in 2003. Other healthcare professionals diagnose patients with high blood pressure if their blood pressure is consistently 130/80 or higher. And this is based on guidelines released in 2017. So it really depends on which approach your professional caregiver provides. But if you are diagnosed with high blood pressure, you need to find the best way to put a plan in place so that we can get your pressure within the normal range. Very, very important. So, what are the signs and symptoms of high blood pressure? Well, before we go there, let's look at your numbers specifically. I want you to get a fair understanding of how to interpret those numbers. You need to understand when your doctor says to you, your pressure is this over that. You need to understand those numbers. And here now is a clip from Dr. Berg to talk about how to interpret what your doctor is telling you.
So why would your systolic pressure be higher than your diastolic? Well, there's a condition for that called isolated systolic hypertension. Normally, the blood pressure is 120/80. That top number is the systolic, which is the measurement of the contraction of the heart, and the diastolic, which is the relaxation phase. So this condition is defined as the top number, systolic, going above 130, but sometimes you see it actually really high, like 160 or 180. This is the most common type of hypertension over the age of 65 reported by the Mayo Clinic. The question is, what causes this? Well, if you do Google researches, you'll see that it could be anemia, hyperthyroid, diabetes, but you won't find high cortisol unless you dig into other references, like this book right here, which is the Ciba Collection of Medical Illustrations, Volume 4, Endocrine System, page 86. And this is under the section of a condition where you have high cortisol. I'm going to read this to you. Cortisol may be responsible for the moderate hypertension, which is characteristically more of the systolic type first, gradually becoming diastolic. Now, this information is very difficult to find if you just do a general search on high systolic blood pressure. But if you type in high cortisol and blood pressure, then you get a lot more information. But you have to know the link between the two before you even knew to research it. So what's up with this high cortisol? Well, first of all, it causes significant sodium retention, and it also creates significant potassium suppression. Anytime you suppress potassium, you can start getting high blood pressure just from that alone. And it can also affect the sympathetic nervous system, which is part of the nervous system that controls this. This is sympathetic, this is parasympathetic. That's another potential relationship there. But also high cortisol will cause suppression of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a natural thing that our cells produce as a vasodilator to relax the blood vessels, to reduce blood pressure. Yeah, so cortisol suppresses that. Now, in addition to that, you can also consume certain foods that are high in nitric oxide, like beets, garlic, meat, and dark leafy green vegetables. So here are a few things you can try. Start taking more vitamin D. And I'm talking about at least 20,000 IUs of vitamin D. Of course, when you take that much, you also want to take 200 micrograms of vitamin K2. You always want to take those together. But here's the thing. Vitamin D is one of the most magical things to reduce blood pressure. And the relationship between vitamin D and high cortisol is this. Anytime you see people with high cortisol, you usually always see them with a vitamin D deficiency. And when you actually take vitamin D, you can actually help to lower cortisol. So that is the relationship there. And I think the reason for that is that vitamin D is not really a vitamin. It's a hormone that acts like cortisol in the body, just to a certain extent. It gets rid of inflammation. It's really helpful in autoimmune conditions, but it's definitely helpful in hypertension. The other thing that I would recommend is start taking potassium and start consuming more leafy greens to get more potassium and nitric oxide. I think that alone might greatly help you.
you're going to hear a little bit more about nitric oxide and other nutritional methodologies or nutritional methods that can help you to bring your blood pressure under control within this show. And there's some stuff that even Dr. Berg didn't touch on that we're going to touch on as well from a nutritional standpoint. As always, I need you to understand that whereas he's talking about some specific nutrition, it is important for every person to get what we call the Mighty 90, all 90 nutrients, and which will include what he is now recommending that you need to bring your blood pressure under control. And so you don't want to be guilty of fractionated nutrition where you're only going out and buying these few things that he mentions and ignoring all the rest, because again, it's all interconnected. And what we have found is that once we put people on the Mighty 90, and then we give them some additional support with some of the nutrients that Dr. Berg is mentioning, as well as others that I'm going to mention on the show today, that people's blood pressure, the body just regulates itself. Your body knows what to do. It's trying to heal. It wants to heal. But it's not healing because we have gotten in the way of the process of healing, whether it be because we're not getting adequate nutrition, whether it be because we are doing damage to our bodies, whether it be because we're so stressed out all the time that too is wreaking havoc, because your body wasn't designed to carry stress, not on a long-term basis in any event. Or whether it be because of some kind of environmental toxin or whatever. The thing is that your body knows what to do. And so once you give your body what it needs to function, it will function again. And this is why I have a client who heard me talking about, the Mighty 90 on the show and decided to give it a try. But he had been on the medication for high blood pressure for 40 years, 40 years on medication for high blood pressure. And after 2 weeks of giving his body what it needed nutritionally, his pressure became normal. 2 weeks. And trust me, I've seen it time and time again. Nutrition. And many of us are suffering from high blood pressure and other conditions simply because we are malnourished. Now, when you hear malnourished, you think of those starving children in Africa with the extended bellies and the rest of their body looks like a skeleton. Some of y'all around here are morbidly obese and still malnourished. You may be big, but that doesn't mean that you are getting the nutrition that your body needs. One of the reasons why you may be suffering from obesity is because you are malnourished. And because your body is crying out for these nutrients, it's constantly giving you signals to go and eat, looking for these nutrients that it needs. But if you're eating foods that are depleted of any kind of nutritional value, empty calories, fast foods, for example, that really have very little nutritional value, genetically modified foods that your body doesn't know what to do with. If you're eating foods that have been sprayed with a bunch of chemicals, then you could very well be gaining weight, but that doesn't mean that you are getting sufficient nutrition. Matter of fact, that obesity could be a sign that you're not getting sufficient nutrition. And so, even though you're going to hear Dr. Berg talk about these various vitamins or minerals, etc., that can help to lower your blood pressure, don't think that that's all you need to do and just go run out and buy vitamin D or buy potassium or whatever and think that's the end of it. No, it doesn't work that way. because no amount of nutrition can outdo a poor diet. No amount of nutrition can outdo toxins. No amount of nutrition can outdo chronic stress. None. So you could be taking medication and nutrition from now till kingdom come and still not be getting any better if, on the other hand, you are faced with a poor diet or some kind of environmental toxin, or you are constantly under stress. Mindset is also very important, the right mindset. So our goal is to get you to the place where your mindset is right. You're not taking in a bunch of poisons into your body. You are giving your body the nutrients that it needs. And you're not feeding the body with stuff it does not need. And you would be amazed at the miracles that will happen, even with your long-term blood pressure issues. I have seen this time and time again. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good afternoon, Michelle. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay. Michelle, you was talking about me last night.
Say that again? Say that again?
You talked about me last night. You said mild nourished. She was calling me.
if the cap fit.
I tell you, it's fit the whole time, and you right there you calling me mild nourished on the radio. Hey, Michelle, what are we talking a joke, man? Michelle, the question I've asked you, right? Because I see, look like, they very, very ambitiously, they putting up this 5G all over the place, right? Have you noticed?
Why are you talking about 5G and I talking about hypertension? What do I got to do with this?
I asked you because...
No, I haven't noticed that. I didn't know that they had 5G.
So in my neighborhood, you know, every single pole, they put the thing on. So, I mean, like, I don't know what kind of effect it's going to have. That's why I'm calling you to ask you, because, I mean, like, we already have an internet and all these other, at least some service and whatever you need to get, like, to be online, right? But when I see, like, because I heard about 5G a long time ago, right? And they said, like, all of the, at least the towers have to be closer and everything. And to be, I mean, it's like...
Caller.
Yeah.
Come on, man. What that got to do with what we talking about today?
Michelle, I'm asking, do you think it's going to have an impact on our health? Because...
I believe it'll have an impact on your health, but today we talk about hypertension.
Okay, but I had hypertension, and I got rid of it, you know, Michelle.
Uh-huh.
And the last time I was to the doctor told me, hey, are you on that? I say, no, why? She said, your blood pressure is about 280 over 180. You're going to die, you know?
Right.
No, I mean, Michelle, I mean, high blood pressure, I guess, is a state of mind. Also, it's like our bodies after years of usage and just being.
No, it ain't a state of mind. That's a very physical condition. It's real.
But a state of mind can drive it to stay just above the threshold where you have a stroke.
Well, like I said, if you're constantly stressed out and worried and all this kind of stuff, you could impact your pressure. Exactly. But it's more than just a state of mind.
Yeah, but a state of mind can actually cause you a stroke. If somebody coming, well, if you have a heart condition, and they probably surprise you or something or whatever, and, you know, some people can't take it. You scream too loud around them, you know, something happens, you know?
Right.
But Michelle, with the high blood pressure thing, do you think that because after we age, all of our, like, our bodies, calcify?
Well, if you give me an opportunity, I'll bring all that information forward. That's the purpose of today's show.
You say something I have to answer, Michelle. That's why when I call you, say, all the time you're too smart, you know? I mean, even though I don't.
Huh?
I say, basically, you're saying you're going to get to that part.
Yes.
And, okay, so that means I called too early and I already have to answer your show. I say that.
All right, thanks for calling.
Okay, thanks, Michelle.
Okay, you too. All right, so, yeah, getting back to the topic at hand, high blood pressure. This can damage your health in so many ways, and it can seriously hurt important organs like your heart and your brain and your kidneys and your eyes. But the good news is that it can be fixed. So don't believe the prognosis that all you can do is manage this by taking this medication for the rest of your life. Not so. I have seen it time and time again. when people give their body what it needs to work, it works. Okay? So, what we're going to be talking about today is what you need to do to get your body to work again. Because what you need to understand is that all of these medications that you're going to be taking for 40 years actually come with side effects. And so in this clip, we're going to be talking about the side effects. Well, you know what? Let me hold off on that because it's 2:53. Before we go to the side effects, let's look at the difference between primary hypertension or essential hypertension and secondary hypertension. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's talk about the number one cause of hypertension. Now, hypertension is classified in two different categories. One is primary or essential hypertension, and then you have secondary hypertension, which mainly comes from a kidney disease or maybe a tumor, etc. But the vast majority, 95% of hypertension, is called essential or primary, which basically means unknown cause. Now that can be related to lifestyle, smoking, alcohol, etc., etc. There's a lot of data that points to having too much insulin, as in hyperinsulinemia. Now with a hyperinsulin state, too much insulin, you're always going to have insulin resistance as well. So the fact that you have insulin resistance will cause the pancreas to make more insulin, and having more insulin will then cause the receptors to downgrade and cause insulin resistance. So they both feed on each other. Now, one of the mechanisms of why high insulin will do this is that when you have high insulin, it stimulates the autonomic nervous system, primarily the sympathetic nervous system, which has one effect of raising the blood pressure. The other thing that high amounts of insulin will do, it'll make the arteries very, very stiff, causing hypertension. And of course, the best thing to do, which is rarely ever done, is to do a test to see if you have insulin resistance and high insulin levels while you're fasting. This is the test that should be done, HOMA-IR. If you had hypertension and you did this test, chances are you would find that you do have insulin resistance and high insulin, which, by the way, is behind type 2 diabetes. It is the thing that brews in the oven for many, many years until you develop prediabetes and then actual type 2 diabetes. So this is number one. And by the way, this is also behind the metabolic syndrome, where you have high blood pressure, high glucose, high cholesterol, belly fat. Now, there's several other reasons why someone's blood pressure might go up as well. Low potassium. But here's the thing, if you have too much insulin and insulin resistance, you're going to end up with low potassium because you need normal functioning insulin to be able to absorb potassium. And the other reason why this is a common cause is because we need so much of it dietarily. We need 4,700 milligrams every single day. Instead, they're really heavy on the sodium and very light on the potassium. But for a lot of people, they'll just increase their potassium level, they'll supplement it, and all of a sudden, their blood pressure comes down. So this is a really common cause too that can be aggravated by this right here. All right, number three, low vitamin D levels. Vitamin D has a very powerful effect over blood pressure. And the vast majority is vitamin D deficient, and a good percentage of them have high blood pressure. Will show there's a correlation, but there's been a lot of studies that show that when you take vitamin D, your blood pressure comes down. And I would recommend, if you have hypertension, to take at least 20,000 IUs, maybe even more, to help you with your blood pressure. And sometimes it takes a couple days before you see the results, but you can test yourself before and after. Number four, low magnesium. Magnesium is an electrolyte. It works with potassium. You also need vitamin D to help you absorb magnesium. And also magnesium helps you absorb vitamin D. And it just so happens that magnesium is in the same foods that you would eat with potassium. But magnesium is a relaxer of your blood vessels. And if you don't have enough magnesium, things tend to stay stiff and your pressure will go up. Number five, low vitamin K2, which you need with vitamin D3, they work together. Vitamin K2 helps to keep the calcium out of the arteries where it should not be. And so if you are deficient in vitamin K2, you could potentially build up more calcium in the arteries, and that can make things very, very stiff. And this comes from fatty foods. So if you're in a low-fat diet, you're going to be deficient in vitamin K2. And if I were to look at the ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting on what would be a greater impact on helping you lower insulin, I would go with intermittent fasting. But the combination works even better. And one last point, this information is not meant to replace your medical care. Don't stop taking medication unless you check with your doctor first.
Okay, so just for the record, when you hear Dr. Bird talk about the keto diet, we're talking about what we call healthy keto. So that's the keto diet along with intermittent fasting and making sure that you're getting adequate nutrition. Because, you know, some people say they're going to go keto, but they do it in a very unhealthy way, and this causes more damage than good. So we're going to take a break. On the other side of the break, we definitely will talk about the medication that you are most likely taking and the side effects. And then, have you ever wondered why people of color, us Black folk, tend to have high blood pressure more than other races? There's a reason for that. We're going to talk about all of that and more on the other side of the break. Stay with us. This is GPS.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here in your company. On this Wellness Wednesday, we're talking about hypertension on this World Hypertension Day. The numbers to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, 8010271, 8010271 is the WhatsApp line, and you can call or message us there. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm Facebook page, as well as the official Global 99.5 FM page, also on our YouTube channels. And you can get us on Cable Bahamas, channel 974, and on your radio dial here in New Providence on 99.5 FM. So we're talking about the silent killer today, hypertension. And the reason why it's called the silent killer is because so many people are walking around dealing with this issue and they don't even know it. And they keep going and keep going and keep going until one day they wake up and they have kidney failure. And they go to the doctor, and the doctor says, well, you've been dealing with hypertension, which has helped to destroy your kidneys, whatever. So it's important that we understand more about what we can do to prevent high blood pressure. And if you already have it, what you can do to reverse it. Because it is possible to reverse it. It is possible to get your health back in order. So don't believe for 1 second that once you are diagnosed with high blood pressure, there's nothing you can do but take medication for the rest of your life. The devil is a liar and the truth is not in him. Don't believe that. Don't believe that. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't take medication in the interim until you could do better, because, again, a lot of people just don't know any better. And so I would recommend that you do take the medication that your doctor gives you, particularly if you are not getting the nutrients that your body needs. But don't look at that medication as a permanent solution, because it is not. All you are doing is managing your disease. I always use the flower as an example. And I'll say it again. If you go out and you buy a beautiful flower, a beautiful plant from the nursery, and you bring it home and you don't water it and you don't expose it to any sunlight, and you don't put it in any good soil or whatever, you neglect it, eventually those leaves are going to start to turn brown. The plant is going to start to die. And by simply taking the approach of medicating yourself without dealing with the root cause of the problem, that's like you going out to the nearest paint shop and buying the prettiest green paint you can find and coming back home and painting over those brown leaves so that they're nice and green, and then standing back and shaking your head and say, yeah, look at my healthy plant. Well, you're lying to yourself, right? You are lying to yourself, because under that green paint, that plant continues to die. It continues to degenerate. Well, the medication that you're taking to manage your high blood pressure is not addressing the root cause of the high blood pressure. So the degeneration continues. And this is what it marvels to me how some people just don't understand that concept. So they're very comfortable in saying, I'm a well-managed hypertensive patient. Well managed. Oh, I'm managing my disease quite well. Is that the goal? Or is the goal to get you so that your body heals itself and you don't have to manage your disease? You don't have to paint green paint over a brown leaf and convince yourself that that made the plant healthy. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, before we go into the problems with the medications, I want to talk about us Black folk. because we seem more prone than any other group to high blood pressure and diabetes, those two in general. Why is that? Is it because we have some kind of gene under our dark skin that, who's this calling me from Trinidad and Tobago? I can't answer that right now. Is it because we have some kind of gene under our dark skin that makes us more prone to high blood pressure, or could it be something else? Something else like our culture. Here now, once again, is Dr. Eric Berg talking about why Black people seem more prone to conditions like high blood pressure and diabetes than any other ethnic group.
So today we're going to talk about why Blacks have a higher risk of diabetes and high blood pressure. There's a great article that talks about having low potassium and then increasing your risk for diabetes, and then having higher amounts of potassium and decreasing your risk for diabetes. But there's this huge focus on reducing sodium, right? Like cut your salt down if you have high blood pressure, for example. But what about increasing your potassium? That's completely ignored. Our bodies actually require 1,000 milligrams of sodium every single day. That's almost one level teaspoon of salt will give you 1,000 milligrams of sodium. But when we talk about potassium, it's more than 4 times. We need 4,700 milligrams of potassium, but we only need 1,000 milligrams of sodium. Okay, so the ratios are basically 4 to 1, and very few people have this correct ratio. And those people with diabetes and high blood pressure, they're lucky if they have half the amount of potassium. But they do have a lot of sodium too, hidden sodium from junk foods, monosodium glutamate, things like that. Not to mention, if you have high blood pressure, you're usually taking a diuretic, right? Thiazide. Well, guess what? That alone will deplete your potassium. High carbohydrate diets deplete your potassium. So serum potassium or blood potassium is an independent risk factor for diabetes. So now let's just talk about what potassium does in the body. It does a lot of things. It helps you store glycogen. So here are the glucose molecules. They're combined and stored as stored sugar, it's called glycogen, with potassium. So if we're potassium deficient, we cannot store glycogen like we should. And then we're going to crave sugar, right? We're going to crave sugar, and we're going to have blood sugar swings up and down. And also it's going to worsen insulin resistance, which is always involved in diabetes. And when you have insulin resistance, your body makes more insulin, but it doesn't work. So the blood sugars start going higher and higher and higher. So when you lower your potassium, your blood sugars go up. Your arteries actually stiffen up when you don't have enough potassium, and that's why the blood pressure goes up. So taking more potassium can make your blood vessels very elastic. Potassium actually protects the kidney. Now, when you have end-stage kidney disease, they don't want you to take potassium because it can be toxic. But if you don't have end-stage kidney disease, you need potassium to protect it. And potassium can also decrease the risk for gout, which is usually pain in the big toe, and it's a form of arthritis. But I think most people don't realize what this means, like 4,700 milligrams. Do I have to eat 10 bananas? No, because that's too sweet, because we want to go on a low-carb diet. But the most important thing is to make sure that you consume foods with enough potassium. What will help is to increase your salads, okay? Very simple. Have 2 salads. And at the end of the day, if you can achieve between 7 and 10 cups, that will get you a lot closer to this. Of course, you're going to get potassium in other foods as well, but this is the easiest way to do it. A couple big salads, and you will be shocked to find out what happens to your blood pressure and your blood glucose levels. So I highly recommend start with your diet, okay? Cut the carbs down, increasing the foods with potassium, and just see for yourself the benefits, not just blood sugars and cravings, but blood pressure as well.
So how many of you out there know how we Black folk go, we people of color go? You offer them salad and they look at you with their side eye. I ain't no rabbit food today. But the typical meal, you know how we do it. Your plate full up of starch. Typical Sunday meal in the Bahamas. You got two different meat. Well, this is those who could afford it, because nowadays some of you can't afford two meat. But for those of you who could afford it, you got two different meat. You got a bunch of fried stuff, and you got a bunch of carbs. Ain't nothing green on your plate. So you got your macaroni, you got your potato salad, you got your fried plantain, you got your peas and rice, you got a bunch of starch. Nothing green on the plate. Matter of fact, you always act like you're allergic to anything green. We also are eating a bunch of fast foods. Some people don't even know in the Bahamas what peas and rice is anymore, because all they know is they go on the line and they get something fast. And in many cases, those fast foods are, very, very low on nutrition. So you're filling up your belly, but you're filling it up with the wrong stuff. That is then further depleting what your body does need, like potassium, for instance, to regulate not only your blood pressure, but your blood sugars. And remember now, it's all interrelated. So I dare say that a big reason why we people of color seem to be more prone to these conditions is not because of our skin color, but because of our culture, because of how we've been taught to eat, because of the foods that we enjoy more so than other ethnic groups. We've been taught to eat poorly. We've been taught to have a plate full of carbs and, no veggies, nothing green, nothing green, nothing green. It got to be fried and it got to be starchy for us to want to eat it. And then when you tell people you got to decrease the amount of carbs in your diet, you got to get off of gluten, you got to eat more leafy green vegetables, it's like you curse them. It's like you said something bad to them. Like, Mom, Miss Malcolm, man, you really want me to do that? Yeah. If you expect to get better. Mom, Miss Malcolm, you trying to tell me I got to stop drinking my beer? Yeah. If you want to get better. But as long as you're drinking that stuff with all the hops, which is made from barley, so it's not just beer, anything made from hops. As long as you're eating all the fried food and all the starchy foods, everything starch, 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 starch. And as long as you acting like you're allergic to anything green, why you acting all brand new and surprised when your body starts to react and respond to that? So I dare say that it's not a genetic thing as much as it is a cultural thing. But the same way that we learned all these bad habits, we can unlearn them. And quite frankly, if you are at the point now where you have hypertension, that is, you need to start paying attention to this. I was having dinner with a friend the other day. I ain't gonna call her name. And she decided to have dessert. And the dessert did have gluten in it. And she asked me, "You sure you don't want some?" And I'm like, "Nope." "You sure?" "I'm sure. I ain't eating that." Because guess what? I ain't no little spring chicken no more. I ain't 20. Because, when you're younger, you feel you could eat all kind of foolishness and, your body, younger, so your body could compensate. But the older you get, the more your body reminds you, hello, you ain't 20 no more. So the foolishness you could do back then, you ought not to be doing now. Because it's harder for you to overcome that than it was when you were the spring chicken. So I want to encourage you guys out there to unlearn all of the bad habits that you have learned, because that's the way your mommy, used to prepare Sunday dinner. And that's the way her mommy used to prepare Sunday dinner. And her mommy, and so on and so on and so on. Much of it has to do with our culture. So don't be talking about, well, I my genes and this run in my family. No, bad habits run in your family. Because hypertension is avoidable. Type 2 diabetes is avoidable. But you have to play an active role in ensuring that just because that quote unquote runs in your family, don't mean it got to run in you. So let's get back to the medications. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 years you on this medication. You ain't getting no better now. You're only managing your disease with this medication. Now, while you may be comfortable in that because that's keeping your numbers managed to where you want the numbers to be, if you are not dealing with the root cause of the problem, then as I said before, the degeneration continues. But not only that, but you are creating other problems for your body when you take these medications for such a long, extended period. Here now is Dr. Burke once again talking about some of the problems that these medications can present.
I mean, I think a really important question would be to understand why you have high blood pressure in the first place. And this is just not emphasized very well. It's more like, well, you have this disease. We don't really know what it is. Take this medication for a while, drink more water, get more exercise, et cetera, et cetera. From my viewpoint, there's several common reasons for blood pressure: low potassium, low magnesium, and low vitamin D levels. So if I had hypertension, those would be three things that I would look at immediately. But instead, in the medical profession, you're told to restrict sodium. That is the primary focus, not to increase potassium, to reduce sodium. And if that doesn't work, then the next thing to do is to give you a water pill, a diuretic. Primarily, they use a common one called hydrochlorothiazide. This is a diuretic. It gets rid of fluid and the sodium in the fluid. But it is also a silent depleter of potassium. So now we end up with lower amounts of potassium. And a potassium deficiency could be the reason why you have high blood pressure in the first place. Now we go from low potassium to extremely low potassium. So therefore, there's going to be more need for medication. And of course, when we talk about potassium, they may recommend potassium, but unfortunately, potassium only comes in 99 milligram pills or less. And the requirement for potassium is quite high. It's like 4,700 milligrams. And you have these pills that are 99 milligrams. Okay. How many times does 99, or let's just round it off to 100, go into 4,700? Okay. You do the math. You'd have to have a lot of pills. But this diuretic also depletes magnesium, the other common reason why people have high blood pressure. Another side effect of this diuretic is the increase of homocysteine. Now, if that doesn't work, there's always the calcium channel blockers, okay? Those are medications for high blood pressure as well, just working from a different angle. The problem is it has some slight minor complications. If you take it chronically over 5 years, it can have a tendency to shrink your brain. It also tends to increase your risk of certain types of cancer. And in one study, as far as the effectiveness goes, they compared it against other medications that lower blood pressure, and it really only brought your blood pressure down by 0.1. That's only like 1/10 of 1 point, okay? So to me, that's pretty insignificant. And then you have other medications like the ACE inhibitors. The problem is with that one, it does increase the risk of getting allergies or even being allergic to the medication significantly. Also, it can create a chronic cough as a side effect. Now, I'm not sure if you got the recent memo about aspirin. They finally found out that it doesn't really give you many good benefits. The outcomes are not that great. And this was in JAMA, Aspirin Myocardial Infarction Study Research Group. They found that an aspirin a day has no benefit. Now, there was another study that rekindled recommending aspirin, taking an aspirin a day, but they didn't even use aspirin. They used Bufferin, okay? which is a different type of medication, and that had magnesium oxide. Okay, magnesium actually helps lower blood pressure, and they also had added some beta carotene. So who knows what was causing what?
So yeah, let me read a couple of comments. So somebody sent a message on WhatsApp saying, "Michelle, you ain't lie. I was just about to say, and if you put some vegetables in that rice or macaroni, behemoths will act like they die, and are you trying to poison them? Bad habits that we have developed over the years, but we trying to blame genes, and we trying to blame, everything else, but what we should be blaming, which is the bad habits that we have learned over the years." Claudette on Facebook says, "Break that cycle of bad eating habits." Yeah. So, did you hear some of those side effects that he mentioned? Shrink the brain. Shrink the brain. Why would I want to take anything that is going to shrink the brain? Ah, boy, y'all see the commercials all the time for these medications, right? Everybody's always smiling and looking happy when they're talking about this particular medication. And what has killed me is some of them has come up with medications for just in case you might miss and have this disease. Talk to your doctor about taking this. You even ain't got the disease, but they try to convince you to go talk to your doctor about taking this medication just in case. Everybody all happy and, running through the meadows and, it's all, the world is a wonderful place when they talk about these different medications. And then you hear real fast, side effects may include, because you see, by law, they got to talk about the side effects. Side effects may include heart palpitations, thoughts of suicide, stroke, dementia, heart attack, this, the next. And then they go back to the meadow and everybody happy and smiling and running through the flowers. Ask your doctor about this particular medication. Why? Because when I listen to the side effects, they worse than what I try to deal with. But it just never ceases to amaze me. The side effects are often worse than the condition you're trying to treat. Make it make sense. And especially when you're talking about these long-term chronic diseases, and especially if you've been on them for decades, what you doing to your liver by taking in these chemicals for so long? How are you harming the body? Yeah, you might be managing that particular disease, but before you know it, that causes a side effect that you then have to go get another medication for to deal with that side effect. And before you know it, you on 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different medications, all of which have many of them have serious side effects. So we got to pay attention to this. We can't just continue to pretend that these side effects don't count and don't matter, because they truly do. So on the other side of the break, because I hear the music in the background, we're going to look more at side effects, and then we're going to look at nutritional solutions, holistic solutions, what you can do nutritionally, holistically, not to manage the disease, not to paint that green paint on them brown leaves, but to reverse that condition, to heal from the disease. We're going to talk about that on the other side. Stay with us.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after.
At Lear, safety is our #1 priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all. Schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466.
One of the things I love about the mailboat is their relationship with Bahamas Air. I can earn travel points on my international freight and redeem them when I fly.
For me, online shopping is easy, with mailboat to U.S. addresses and regular freight delivery to Nassau. Plus, I can always prepay customs and freight, and they always notify me when my package arrives.
Yeah, a lot of people think the mailboat is just for shipping, but they also offer a safe and secure storage facility at affordable rates, all in a central, convenient location.
We also offer passenger service into Freeport multiple times per week with a seating capacity of over 450 persons. With family movies on large screens, one hot meal included, and on-board lounge for snacks and soft drinks. We're the mailboat. We're bridging people, products, and places.
Executive Printers is your one-stop shop for all your branding and customization needs. Letterheads, envelopes, business cards, invoices, share and gift certificates, rubber stamps, vouchers, funeral programs, brochures, flyers, banners, and promotional items like mugs, water bottles, mouse pads, and key rings, all with personable service and great quality. No project is too small or too large. For great turnaround and competitive pricing, make an executive decision. Call us at 393-5011.
Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I'm Michelle Malcolm here on this Bonus Wednesday talking about hypertension today. The telephone numbers to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, or our WhatsApp line for both calls and messages is 801-0271, 801-0271. We're streaming live on Facebook, on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages, as well as on our YouTube channels. And you can catch us on Cable Bahamas Channel 974 or on your radio dial, 99.5 FM here in New Providence. So if you're late to the show, better late than never, I suppose, make sure you like and share the show, let everybody know that we're talking about a matter that is very important today: hypertension, high blood pressure, and why you need to be paying attention to this, because you may be one of the people walking around with high blood pressure and don't even know it. It's called the silent killer for a reason. Okay, so let's get back to these side effects, and then we're going to talk about solutions, nutritional and holistic solutions. Yeah, it's important for you to understand that the medications are what we call inhibitors or blockers of systems in your body. So as opposed to building, they actually block. So they'll stop something from happening, but they're not addressing the problem of degeneration. And all disease is really just a degeneration of the body. Now, one of the things that we've learned in the training that we received with regard to high blood pressure is that it is related to the bone and joint matrix. It's what we call a hard tissue disease. And whenever we see people having a challenge in that bone and joint matrix, it's not surprising that they also have blood pressure challenges. Now, sometimes it comes from the other direction. So if a person has, say, blood sugar challenges or some kind of kidney problem, it could cause high blood pressure. But oftentimes it's the high blood pressure what leads to those conditions. But anyhow, one way or the other, it's all related, right? But when it comes to medication versus the holistic approach, and not just for hypertension, for any condition really, you need to realize that the medication really blocks systems from working, inhibits, whereas nutrition builds or gives your body what it needs to rebuild that which is degenerating. That's the main difference between the two. So I want you to listen now more about side effects if you've been on a high blood pressure medication for a long time. And again, for the record, I ain't telling nobody to go quit your high blood pressure medication cold turkey. That would be very irresponsible. Let your doctor be the one to make that determination. So even after you start getting adequate nutrition, even after you stop doing all the bad stuff, don't take it upon yourself to just go quit your medication. No, let your doctor be the one to determine the level of how much you should be taking based on how much your body is performing. I cannot stress that enough. So let's look again at these side effects that could result from taking these medications long term.
Hey guys, in this video I wanted to talk about the side effects of thiazide. That's high blood pressure medication, also known as hypochlorothiazide, which is a diuretic. It's for high blood pressure and edema. It pulls water out of your body. Okay, but it comes with a package. It also pulls your electrolytes, specifically potassium, magnesium, and other electrolytes. Okay, so here are the side effects. Hypokalemia. Now, what does that mean? That's low potassium in the blood. Now, just think about it. Potassium is needed in large quantities in the diet. Most people don't even get a trace of what they really need. And the side effects of low potassium are palpitations, arrhythmias, muscle weakness, cramps. So arrhythmias, okay? And the big side effect from hypokalemia is high blood pressure. So here we are taking this medication to get rid of high blood pressure, but it's causing high blood pressure. Potassium relaxes the blood vessels. It counteracts the retention of sodium. The other side effect is hyperglycemia. Do you know what that is? That's diabetes. That's a side effect. Hyperlipidemia, that's high cholesterol. Here's another one, high uric acid, that's gout. High calcium, low sodium is called hyponatremia. When you're drinking a lot of water, sometimes you can develop hyponatremia as well, where you're actually getting rid of all the sodium and you get muscle cramps and leg weakness. Your body needs about 1,000 milligrams of sodium every single day. So if you're pulling out too much sodium, that can be damaging to the heart as well. low magnesium. We need electrolytes to be healthy. So a loss of electrolytes will make you tired, weak, muscle cramps, high blood glucose, irregular heartbeat, and even high blood pressure.
So, based on all that information, does it really make sense to put all your eggs in the basket of that particular medication? I would dare say no. So what are your alternatives? Because you got to do something. You can't continue to stick your head in the sand and pretend that you don't have a problem. That's not a solution. Ignoring the problem is not the solution. Okay? You cannot fix what you do not acknowledge. And we have become very good in this country at sticking our head in the sand and pretending the problem doesn't exist. So that's not what I'm suggesting. You got to take it into, you got to do what you got to do. Okay? But what can you do? There are some nutritional solutions. You would have heard Dr. Berg talk about some of them, and he's going to talk about some more. But one of them that he has not mentioned as yet, that we definitely, every single time that we're dealing with a hypertensive patient, that we definitely recommend, in addition to the Mighty 90, there are two things, and I'm not knocking what he's already said, because what he's already said is important, but there are two things that we also include that you really need to take to help to regulate your blood sugar. Because, not blood sugar, sorry, your hypertension. Because remember now, this is a bone and joint complex issue as well. This is a hard tissue category, let me put it that way. A hard tissue category disease as well. So, we make sure that in addition to the Mighty 90, in addition to everything else you would have heard him talk about, because what he's talking about is already included in the Mighty 90, we also put you on something that is going to give you additional glucosamine and chondroitin. I haven't heard him talk about those two as yet. And whereas what he is saying is true, in our training, it doesn't go far enough. So what we do is when you have some kind of issue with your pressure, that's a red flag to me. When I see that, yeah, okay, you've got a deficiency challenge in the bone and joint matrix in the hard tissue category. That I already know. And then usually when we see somebody that has a problem with their pressure, then all the other symptoms are there about other issues in the hard tissue category as well. So we're like, yeah, okay, this is only confirming what we already know. If you got a pressure problem, you got a problem with the hard tissue category. So we give you something that will help to rebuild your bone and joint matrix. And that something is glucogel. You hear it advertised on this show. That has additional glucosamine and chondroitin. And in addition to the Mighty 90, plus the glucogel, because remember now, the Mighty 90 has all the other nutritional components that you're hearing Dr. Berg talk about today, the potassium, the D3, and all that kind of stuff. All that is included, the vitamin D, sorry, all that is included in the Mighty 90. But we always put people on that glucogel as well, because that has additional glucosamine and chondroitin, which help to rebuild that hard tissue bone and joint matrix. It's all connected. And I'm telling you, within 2 weeks, I see people who have been on medication chronically for years. And within 2 weeks, I'm getting calls. Miss Malcolm, I've been on doctor medication for all these years, and I ain't never see my numbers look like this in all these years on this medication. Again, because medication does not build, it inhibits, it blocks. Our goal is to get your body to regenerate so that your body can fix itself. So that being said, let's go back to Dr. Berg to talk more about nutritional solutions.
There's something else that you should know about. It's called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide greatly supports the inner layer of the arteries. Okay. It helps to lower blood pressure because it's a vasodilator. Some people even try to increase it to handle their erectile dysfunction because that's a vascular problem. You see, we're so focused on the arteries, but it can affect a lot of things. You've probably heard of even vascular dementia because of what it can do to the brain. We have an enzyme that helps make nitric oxide. Okay. And that enzyme can be inhibited or turned off to a certain degree by a genetic variation problem. So if you have this problem, you might not have the benefit of that enzyme to make nitric oxide, thereby developing hypertension. And you can get a test to evaluate if you have this problem. There's a couple ways to do it. You can look at a DNA test or even get this other test. It's called ADMA, and that stands for asymmetrical dimethyl arginine. So getting the test will tell you very quickly if you're making enough of this nitric oxide. Now, the solution that I would recommend that has very minimal side effects, if any, is just to go out and buy some L-arginine. L-arginine will help you make more nitric oxide. So you can just include that as your protocol for helping yourself with this high blood pressure situation. Another really good natural remedy for high blood pressure is garlic. Garlic can act as a natural ACE inhibitor, as well as increasing this nitric oxide. Another really good food to take if you have high blood pressure is celery. Celery has a couple powerful phytonutrients that can help lower blood pressure and reduce adrenaline. So it helps you sleep, it helps your blood pressure. You'd want to take like 4 stalks of this celery, maybe with your last meal of the day. And you'll find that you'll actually get some benefit from that. Now, to support the endothelial layer of your arteries, tocotrienols is one of the best remedies for that. That's a type of vitamin E. So when you think about anything damaging the inside of the artery, think tocotrienols. And tocotrienols are really good for angina, heart problems, but especially to help act as a powerful antioxidant for the inside layer of your arteries. Let's summarize everything. So we have potassium, magnesium. Where can you get that? From salads, okay? Larger amounts of salads on a regular basis. You can also get these in electrolyte powder as well. Vitamin D3, you can get that from the sun. It's very hard in the winter, so start taking vitamin D3. That might just handle your blood pressure, but you need to take at least 20,000 IUs every single day. Start including garlic in the diet, celery, and don't forget about the L-arginine, okay? You can get in a powder and maybe take a scoop or even a whole scoop each day, okay, to help increase nitric oxide and those tocotrienols that might come in handy to support the inside layer of your arteries. But realize that you also need to handle the foundational problem of your diet.
Okay, so just for the record, he mentioned L-arginine. If you have a particular virus like the herpes virus, either 1 or 2, be careful to also include in that regimen L-lysine, because L-arginine and higher levels of the L-lysine will cause you to have an outbreak. So you want to make sure that there's a balance there. I just thought I'd throw that out there. I want to read a comment from one of our WhatsApp text. It says, "Thank you for the much needed information you bring to us. I've realized we need to learn our bodies. When I started to pay closer attention to the signals my body was sending, I realized proper nutrition is truly what many of us lack and what we need. I remember going from seeing the doctor every few years because I was healthy to going to the doctor every other month. Why? Because when I began taking one medication for one ailment, I got side effects that led me to other complications which required more medication. Soon I had ailments from A to Z, including hypertension. So now I try as many holistic methods as I am able to. Thank you for doing what you do, Miss Malcolm. You are appreciated." Well, thank you so much for saying that. And I do hope that you guys are getting something out of this show on Wednesdays, because I'm trying to, we got too many sick people, man. Unnecessarily so. We really, really got to do better as a nation. There's no reason for us to be as sick as we are. where we have to make some serious decisions that we're going to do what we got to do to change. Okay? So definitely dietary changes are necessary. Making sure that you're getting adequate nutrition is absolutely necessary. Making sure that the type of nutrition that you're taking is absorbable, that your body can actually make use of it. That's important. And once we do all the right things that we're supposed to do, it's amazing. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. Your body is this incredible machine that knows what to do to fix itself. And you would be amazed at the miraculous things that can happen with your body once you start doing the right thing by it. Now, I could hear some of your religious people out there now. Oh, Michelle Larry Benson, you around here talking about taking care of your body. You know, the Bible tells you it profit you very little to exercise or whatever the words say. You know, you're trying to justify you being 500 pounds. Trying to justify you eating poorly because I paying more attention to my soul. Okay, that's good. Glad to hear that. But the Lord expects you to be a good steward of the one body what he give you to traverse this earth with. No? You only get one. And if you want to be effective in the kingdom, you got to be healthy. Because how you going to minister to anybody else when you're so sick you can't even walk out your house? How you going to impact lives? How you going to touch people? How you going to do anything to build up the kingdom if you are chronically so ill that you can't get out your own way? You can't. You're so sick, somebody got to tend to you. How is that glorifying God? How is that building up the kingdom? And some of the most unhealthy people in the church. Everybody big as a house. Got all kind of problem. Hypertension, high sugar, you name it, the church got it. Because their excuses, well, we focusing on the spirit and the soul. That's good. But the Lord still expects you to be a good steward of the one body. What did he give you? He only give you one. And if you don't take care of this one body while you're on this side of eternity, you will not be as effective as you should be. Because you're too busy trying to manage disease. That ain't of God. So let's get it right. All right. We're going to take our one more break, and then when we come back, give you a little bit more knowledge about why the nutritional approach works. Stay with us. We'll be back after this.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Blood sugar levels play a key role in your appetite, weight gain, and overall health. When you have a blood sugar spike, you can feel confused, dizzy, and even have increased cravings. Eating carbohydrates, sugary or fatty foods, and not exercising can all cause blood sugar spikes. But now you have help in managing blood sugar levels. Sweeties by Youngevity was designed to help support healthy blood sugar levels so you can power through your day. It's a synergistic blend of minerals, herbs, and nutrients that have been proven to support healthy blood sugar levels. Sweeties includes chromium, an essential trace mineral that's known for its contribution to healthy blood sugar levels and improved metabolism of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Cinnamon bark has been included for its naturally occurring antioxidants and support of a healthy heart. And we've even added gymnema. It's been used in Ayurveda for centuries to help promote healthy blood sugar. All the ingredients in Sweeties work together to give the best support available for blood sugar control. Sweeties, the blood sugar support supplement from Youngevity that helps control cravings and manage blood sugar levels through your day. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
As you age, factors like health, weight, diet, and lifestyle can all impact your bones, joints, and general mobility. Even everyday exercise can lead to wear and tear on your body. Over time, you might start to experience stiffness or pain due to damaged joints or connective tissue. Ultimate Glucogel by Youngevity was created to help you limit the effects of wear on your joints. It delivers a daily dose of collagen-rich gelatin your body needs for joint elasticity and maintenance. Ultimate Glucogel contains a 1-to-1 ratio of gelatin and glucosamine sulfate, which is a key building block of your bone matrix, cartilage, ligaments, tendons, and connective tissue. Gelatin's unique blend of amino acids not only help with muscle and joint health, but also has been shown to provide additional benefits for the brain, skin, and hair. Ultimate Glucogel. Natural, optimal daily support for joint health. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
All right, welcome back to the show. If you are interested in learning about how you can get your hands on the stuff that can help you reverse this high blood pressure once and for all, I want to encourage you to go to the official Michelle Malcolm Facebook page, and I have pinned at the top the link to our health evaluation. You can actually click onto that and watch the video on the landing page. I will tell you how to score yourself so that we can understand what your health score is, and that will point us in the right direction as to whether or not you are in fact suffering from any kind of nutritional deficiencies and in which category of disease. If you're dealing with hypertension, I can almost guarantee you your numbers are going to be higher than normal in the hard tissue category, because hypertension is a clear sign that you have an issue with that. And then once you fill that out, you press agree. I agree at the end and submit. Then the results are sent to you as well as to me, and then I will reach out to you individually, and we will go over your results together so I can tell you, what your body is trying to tell you that you may have been ignoring or just didn't know how to address. All right, so final clip of the day. Why does nutrition work? Why does potassium work? Why does glucosamine work? Why should you go the route of nutrition when it comes to healing and reversing high blood pressure? Here, finally, again, is Dr. Berg.
Only 2% of the population, and I'm talking about Americans, get enough potassium. 2%. That means 98% of Americans are deficient. They're just not getting enough. Most of them don't know that they need a lot. They need about 4,700 milligrams a day to achieve the RDAs for potassium. And I'm not talking about bananas, because bananas only have about 300 milligrams. So you'd have to consume a lot of bananas to achieve this. And then the problem with that is all the sugar that comes along with it. But mostly you're going to get your potassium from leafy greens, certain vegetables. The problem with that is an average American only consumes 1.5 cups of veggies per day, when they actually need about 7 to 10 cups. But realize when I'm talking about 7 to 10 cups, I'm talking about like loose lettuce. I'm not talking about concentrated like broccoli, for example, or cauliflower. This would be for leafy greens. So if you're going to do something more dense, maybe you do 4 cups, something like that. And also, if you chop this up and cut this down, this is going to come down a lot less because you're actually making it more dense. But the point is that the more vegetables that you eat, the closer you're going to get to this amount. You can also get potassium from fish and some meats and nuts, and definitely avocados. That's a really good source. Most people just don't get enough potassium from their diet. Also, when you consume refined carbohydrates, both in grain carbohydrates and sugars, you'll deplete your potassium even more. When you're under stress, you deplete your potassium. When you take a diuretic, you deplete your potassium. There's many different ways that people end up being deficient in potassium. If we take a look at sodium, the opposing mineral, 90% of Americans are consuming too much of sodium. So we're really heavy on the sodium, but very light on the potassium. And what this creates is a situation where your blood pressure is going to start going higher and higher and higher. Potassium in general has a diuretic effect. It's going to get rid of fluid. Potassium causes the smooth muscle in your arteries to dilate. It's a vasodilator, thus lowering the blood pressure. Also, potassium keeps the vascular system from being stiff, because if your arteries are stiff, that alone can cause hypertension. Either increase the foods that are high in potassium, which I'll put some links down below on that, or take potassium as a supplement or an electrolyte powder, and you're going to find that your blood pressure is going to start coming down. Now, the other cause of hypertension is low vitamin D3. So if you take vitamin D3 and potassium or get it from the food, you will find that your blood pressure should be coming down. The other thing I'm going to mention about potassium is it also lowers the risk of getting a stroke. And the way that that occurs is that potassium directly affects the consistency of blood. It reduces clotting, as in blood clots. Potassium can kill two birds with one stone. Of course, that's not the best analogy, but it can actually help reduce hypertension and decrease the risk for a stroke.
All right, my time is gone. I really hope that you got something out of the show today. Know that if you approach this holistically from a nutritional standpoint, and if you stop doing the ongoing damage, your body will correct itself. And instead of managing an illness, you'll be able to reverse that illness. Go ahead, fill out the health evaluation, and let's talk about how we can get you on the road to better health. Another great show planned for you tomorrow. Be sure to tune in and let everybody know that GPS is on the air. I do appreciate you all. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed